Hey yo, what's up and welcome, I'm the one and only West Coast King, and welcome back to Major League 90. I know, I haven't done one of these since literally mid-season, so I apologize for that. Just been doing other things, a little bit on my mind, got other projects going on, but it is playoff time, so you know we had to get back in here and take a look at what's going on with the playoffs. And there's some really good games coming up in this midweek. The knockout rounds are going on starting today. These produce some of the most intense games of the playoffs, especially if it comes down to penalties, which one or two of these matchups might come down to pens. I'm saying right now, at least one of them I think will. So let's get in here. We're going to do this round by round. So today, we're taking a look at the knockout rounds. Once those wrap up, probably Friday, we'll come back and take a look at the first leg, or the playoff matchup, starting with the first leg coming up this weekend of the conference semifinals. So getting things started today, we have Chicago hosting New York Red Bulls. This one I think is going to be a very close matchup. It's very hard to predict for me which one of these teams is going to come out on top tonight. It comes down to both of these teams are not in the best form coming in. So it's pretty evenly matched as far as the form goes. Both of them have 2 wins in their last 5. However, New York Red Bulls have only won 3 games since mid-August, so they're really not in the best form coming in. They just got into the playoffs in 6th place. Technically, not just. They qualified pretty clearly. I mean, there was no one else really close to them, but that comes down to the lack of depth in the Eastern Conference, unfortunately, rather than their prowess and locking up a spot. Chicago, on the other hand, just came off of a bad loss in Houston, getting stomped out 3-0. So, both of the teams not in the best form. So, it's kind of a wash there. But New York Red Bulls have not lost to Chicago this season. They won 2-1 at home at Red Bull Arena, and they went on the road earlier this season and got a 1-1 draw at Toyota Park in Chicago. So that bodes well for them. However, the goal-scoring prowess that Chicago has, combined with the home field advantage, I think Chicago's going to be able to take this one. It's going to be close, though. Like I said, I'm thinking maybe like a 2-1 or a 3-2, but I would not be surprised if this is one of the games that comes down to pens. These are very evenly matched teams. Up next, we have the late game taking place tonight. We have Vancouver hosting San Jose. This one is interesting, strictly because these two teams might be in the worst form out of any of the teams making the playoffs. Vancouver have only won 1 game in their last 5, and they really haven't looked good. They should have locked up the #1 seed in the Western Conference, but couldn't win a game in their last 3 and fell into the 3rd place spot, which means they will now be taking part in the 1-game playoff. San Jose, on the other hand, have got to have had the worst goal differential for any team to ever make the playoffs, -21. -21 goal difference, and they made the playoffs. How? I don't really know, honestly. They won games narrowly, and when they lost, they got annihilated. That's how you get a -21 goal difference and make the playoffs. Honestly, I don't even know what to do. I don't even know who to pick here. It's similar to the New York Red Bulls and Chicago Fire matchup. San Jose did not lose to Vancouver this season. They won at home 3-2. They got a 1-1 draw on the road earlier against Vancouver in Canada. So I don't know who to pick in this one. This one is absolute toss-up just because both of these teams look awful to me. Honestly, they both look awful. They each sport 1 double-digit goal scorer. I think Freddie Montero and Wondolowski both have 13 goals this season. The rest of the team rarely, if ever, chips in with any goals of their own. So I'll pick. You know what? I'm gonna go with the underdog here, just because they're actually in a little bit better form. I'll take San Jose on the road. They have 2 wins out of their last 3. I'm going to go San Jose. Maybe that's stupid. I don't really know, but my heart and my head's both telling me to pick San Jose. I'll take the Fighting Wandos on the road. So moving on to Thursday, and the first game up is the one I am really looking forward to. This, to me, is the most exciting matchup of the knockout rounds. It is Atlanta hosting Columbus in that brand new stadium down there, the Mercedes-Benz Arena, or I don't know. It's an absolute work of art, that stadium, but either way, the one thing I know about this matchup, there will be goals. Oh yes, there will be goals to be had in this one. Atlanta was the 2nd highest goal scoring team in the league and boasted the 2nd best goal difference in the league, only behind Toronto, which we'll talk about Toronto at another time. We will talk about Toronto, just not yet. They're not in the knockout rounds. Atlanta is. And speaking of Atlanta, they had a chance to not be in the knockout rounds. All they had to do last day of the season, beat Toronto at home just couldn't quite do it, mostly because Giovinco, and wow. But either way, Atlanta's hosting Columbus. Atlanta won both of the games this season against Columbus. They won 3-1 at home, 2-0 up in Columbus as well. And I'm gonna give this one to Atlanta. I think this one's gonna be like a 3-1. I'm gonna give Atlanta this one 3-1. I say there will be goals, but Atlanta did sport the second best defense in the Eastern Conference as well. They can get down and play some defense when it matters most. Yes, they're relying on Brad Guzan, but you know what? Brad Guzan can make a save or two every once in a while. You know what? He played pretty well against Toronto, but he is prone to a mistake. So I say probably one goal gets by him, but I think Atlanta takes it 3-1. And for the final game of the knockout rounds, we have Houston hosting Sporting Kansas City. This is strength against strength. Sporting Kansas City, by far best defense in the league, only gave up 29 goals all season long. Toronto were second best in that category, giving up 37. So Sporting, great defense. What they can't do is score goals. They have one of the worst goal scoring records in the league. Actually, only 3 teams scored fewer goals than they did. So they're riding that defense into the playoffs against a Houston team that is one of the best teams at home this season in the league. Only Toronto won more games at home than Houston did this season, and they only lost 1 time. I don't honestly see a way Sporting competes in this one. I really, really don't. Their top goal scorer was Gerso. He had 8 goals. 3 players for Houston scored more than that. I don't think this is really going to... I just don't see a way Sporting goes in and wins this game. If they can hold Houston somehow and take it to pens, that might be the only way Sporting gets this done. Similar to what Seattle did to Toronto last year in the MLS Cup final. It wasn't pretty, but it did get the job done. Sporting could do that, but it's very, very unlikely given what Houston can do playing at home. They're going to be fired up. The fans are going to be fired up. Houston's not been in the playoffs for quite some time. I just don't see a way that Sporting wins this game. I'm going to say Houston wins this thing, and I think they're going to win it like 3-0. So that is it for the knockout rounds for today and tomorrow. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. Who do you think are going to win these games? I've got Chicago, San Jose, Atlanta, and Houston moving on. And honestly, I know this is a bit biased, but I'm really rooting for Houston here. Seattle is waiting to see who they're going to play in the second round. I want to avoid Sporting at all costs because I respect that team, and I know what they've done to us in the past. On top of that, what we did to them last year in the playoffs, talk about motivation. It's not going to be pretty. I really want to avoid going to Sporting Kansas City if at all costs. So that's it for this one. If you did enjoy it, make sure to let me know by leaving a like below. Subscribe if you're new, and I will see you when we come back for some more Major League 90 when the next round of the playoffs are set. See ya.